Welcome to Wrasslin Raw!
All right, you're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when Raw became war and Attitude ruled. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
Your favorite South Park character doesn't happen to be Cartman, does it?
Joe Giammatteo.
Stop your grinning and drop your linen.
I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett, and we're going to examine WWE history one pay-per-view at a time. That's right, folks. This is a special pay-per-view episode, so pay-per-view stipulations are in effect. We're going to be talking about our star ratings. Joe's going to be giving us Dave Meltzer's star ratings from the Wrestling Observer, and in the end, we'll talk about whether or not we got our money's worth. But first, real quick, I just want to issue a personal correction on myself from our last recording.
Uh-oh.
I rather confidently asserted that it was Tommy Dreamer that got crucified in ECW.
Oh, yeah.
I was wrong. It was the Sandman. Well, that's right. I said Sandman first, but then I corrected myself to Tommy Dreamer very confidently, and full of shit. I am. Totally wrong.
Yeah.
You were proved wrong because Easter came, the day
Right.
the day that you celebrate the crucifixion of Sandman, and that image was going around everywhere. So
Yeah.
it proved you wrong a few days later.
Yeah, it's been weighing on my mind ever since I made that statement and realized I was incorrect, so I just wanted to clear the air here. My credibility with my audience is the only thing I genuinely care about, so...
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they forgive you.
Mm-hmm. In this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about In Your House 26, Rock Bottom. Rock Bottom was recorded on December 13th, 1998 at the General Motors Place in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, And it features Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
All right, then, let's get into it. Before we get into the pay-per-view proper, I'll just real quick list the matches that we missed on Sunday Night Heat tonight that led into this event. We had Gillberg defeating Matt Hardy to retain the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship.
Should have been the main event.
Yeah. Title match.
Yeah.
A guy named Kevin Quinn defeating Brian Christopher, and I had to look up who that was because I wasn't familiar with that name, and I guess he was in a couple things. He was in a tag team with Christopher Daniels, most notably, I saw.
A jobber in this situation, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what's going on with him, because he did win here against Brian Christopher, so, yeah.
Wow.
I guess if we watched Heat, we probably would end up with more Jobber of the Week segments, but...
Certainly.
Yeah. Triple H defeated Draws. That was a strange one. And the New Age Outlaws defeated the Acolytes by disqualification, which I find strange because the Outlaws were here in this pay-per-view.
Yeah. Seems like a bit of a handicap for them to have a double match.
Yeah. Well, getting into the pay-per-view, this started off with The Rock in Planet Hollywood. I think that's what that was, Planet Hollywood. Really putting over the pay-per-view and upcoming pay-per-views. And this was pretty good because you can tell he's got his catchphrases dialed in, and once he's able to get himself alone in the spotlight, he really, really starts to shine. I find in the storyline that he's been in so far, he's overshadowed by the corporation. He hasn't really had enough time to stand on his own, and I'm really looking forward to more of that in the future.
Yeah, it's funny that he's a corporate heel, but he's getting like a huge pop and reception from the people in Planet Hollywood. It's almost like...
Definitely.
Like now you see a guy like MJF that acts like a heel in public, but people still cheer for him.
Yeah. Well, I just chalked it up to the backwards citizens of Canada. They booed Steve Blackman, for God's sakes.
The thought.
So that whole thing was followed by the usual pay-per-view operatic classy Freddie Blassie voiceover video package highlighting the Undertaker-Austin feud with great lines from both Blassie and the Undertaker superimposed on black and white images from some of the wilder moments that have gone on in the feud. And then in the arena where we were greeted by two enormous banners showing The Rock holding the championship belt flanking the entrance. I really like the theme of this being like a corporate celebration of The Rock, like a corporate event. that it's really being put over that way. We got a view of that pile of dirt and the shovel sticking up out of it. 2 tons of dirt per Michael Cole.
6 foot deep.
Yeah, complete with a custom gravestone over it. I wonder if that thing is available on eBay anywhere. That was cool, that gravestone.
I feel like that probably went for quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
Doesn't Mick Foley talk about how he has the one with him and Undertaker? The gravestone?
I don't know.
I thought I remember him talking about it, or maybe he wanted it. I don't know.
Okay. Well, here's where Michael Cole noted for us that The Rock is injured, and that kind of had my interest because that was news to us, and whether or not my interest could be maintained would be put to the test immediately as we went into our first match of the night. D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry defeat The Godfather and Val Venus by pinfall in 5 minutes and 56 seconds. The ladies of Vancouver really liked Val Venus. That says something about their standards, I think. The status update on the quality of Vancouver's hose was mostly acceptable. I think the win there would go to the hoe in the blue velvet crop top thing, although the one in the puce-colored dress was a close second. A little bit of a bagger, though. We must have missed something somewhere because PMS, that's Pretty Mean Sisters, Terry Runnels and Miss Jackie, they came out on D'Lo's arms. They both looked great. They must have gotten tied to this tag team of D'Lo and Sexual Chocolate at some point, probably on Saturday Morning Superstars. That's where things really seem to happen off camera for us anymore. Michael Cole was not offensive to me at all here in this. I really liked the King also bringing up that the Godfather used to be part of the nation. That was just a neat little thing to toss out there because I honestly forgot about it whenever this got going. The Godfather just looks so drastically different now. I was sitting back and enjoying this up through the point where Jackie and Terry started to get into it with the hose. That provided the distraction so Jackie could pull Val's trunks down, trip him up, and give Mark Henry the pin and the win. So, like I said, mostly just sat back and enjoyed this. There aren't any kind of stakes on the line, but as an appreciateur of D'Lo Brown, Mark Henry, Jackie, Hose, this is a great way to start the night. So I went with 2 stars. Joe, what'd you think of this?
I didn't really care about the match that much. I just have some general thoughts.
Stuff.
Just general thoughts to share. And the first one is that the Fink announces The Godfather as being billed from New York City. And I feel like they should have announced The Godfather as being from Las Vegas. I think that would have been more fitting. WWF always really pays attention to the detail, but I feel like they kind of missed on that one. And Val Venus, we've seen a pretty good sample size of the big Valboski at this point. I thought I would think that Val Venus was still funny today, but he's just creepy as fuck. It just doesn't
like butter on a
transfer
pancake.
Well. Yeah, it doesn't transfer well to 2026. And D'Lo and Mark Henry have become our favorite duo in the WWF right now. So it's always enjoyable to see them in a segment, in a match, whatever it is. Seeing them together right now, they are an interesting, entertaining duo. Michael Cole, I was a Michael Cole apologist on last week's episode.
You were, left and right.
Yeah, because he got tossed into an emergency situation, but he sucked tonight bad.
I agree.
You can tell he was just getting fed lines by Vince McMahon for most of the show, and he just sucks at delivery. He said that The Godfather is an expert of the martial arts, and I just don't view The Godfather that way anymore unless they're still trying to push the stupid fighting machine thing.
Which they're not.
Yeah, they're not. It just didn't make any sense. However, I liked the aesthetic of this match. I like The Godfather. I like the Hose. I like Jackie, Terry. I like D'Lo and Mark Henry. So I enjoyed myself. I gave it 3 stars.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm right there with you guys for the most part. It started off pretty great. We have The Godfather, and he's got 4 Hose tonight, so they definitely upped it for that pay-per-view bump for the ladies tonight in the number there. But I felt like D'Lo and Mark Henry, they were the winners with the women tonight, though, coming out with Jackie and Terry. So I think they won the crapshoot tonight. So good for them. Oh yeah, there's a match that happened. I didn't hate it. These are all people that are pretty decent wrestlers. Val is certainly repulsive, but he's not terrible in the ring. The guy could get it done there. The King brings up that backstage, there's talk that a little more happened between Sexual Chocolate and China after the cameras were turned off at their date. So that's something interesting to think of moving forward. And I do love that Michael Cole brought up D'Lo's chest protector just because I think it's great every time that gets brought up and highlighted. But very shortly after that, we got a what a maneuver out of Michael Cole. And it's not the last time tonight we're going to get what a maneuver. So he was definitely getting some words piped in by Vince there. The ending was, give or take, whatever. But I was happy to see D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry got the win here. So this was mostly about the ladies segments at the beginning and also with them interfering. But even without the TNA, the wrestling was solid enough. So I gave it 2 stars.
Oh, nice. Joe, what'd Meltzer have on that?
He hated it. He gave it 3/4 of a star. He said they tried, but it wasn't good.
Quite the astute observation there, Dave. Yeah, it really wasn't anything special, but it was better than that, I thought. 1 star at the very least. Well, after that, we went backstage to the Superstar line, which is still a thing here, where Triple H and Chyna were there with Doc Hendricks. Chyna looked great, but she also looked pissed off, or something like that, irritated maybe. Maybe it's just her newfound facial features making her look that way, I'm not sure. But it really made me wonder where we're at in her and Trips' relationship at this point. Do you guys know? Like, are they still an item romantically right now?
Oh, yeah, because he didn't start actually dating Stephanie until she was in a storyline with him.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure when that all happened.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, like that's the story that the storyline basically made them become an item, and that's when Chyna got cheated on.
Okay. All right, so not for another probably year or so then, give or take.
Yeah.
At least. Well, Trips put over the Outlaws for their tag team championship match later on tonight, and then we got the context for that claim earlier that The Rock is injured. So apparently Mankind had ambushed The Rock earlier today, causing a rib injury, leading to some plot points being revealed from Mankind, mainly that if The Rock doesn't wrestle Mankind, Mankind will win the championship by default in their match, which I thought was random and out of nowhere and honestly a little unneeded, but hey man, whatever. So with that context in our minds and for later events, let's get through the number 2 match of the night. The Headbangers defeat the Oddities by pinfall in 6 minutes and 52 seconds. I did laugh when commentary were talking about the upcoming match with Goldust and the potential to see Debra's Tastykakes. Cole said that the King had brought a camera and binoculars down to the ring. I thought that was funny.
There was also, like a 3 or 4 person sign about Debra's Tastykakes.
Yeah. I didn't see that till later, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they busted it out till later.
There's perverts in Canada.
The only entertaining part of this match were the Headbangers getting into it with a member of the crowd after it was over and Thrasher spit in that guy's face. That's all I had. This was a dud. Obviously, it's the Oddities. So, Ryan, what are your thoughts, please?
For some stupid reason, the fans seemed to like the Oddities. Like they were dancing and cheering for them. Like, I don't know what the fuck they're drinking up in Canada, but
yeah.
I will give credit to Luna. She looked badass with that like short hair and her new implants that she's got. But sadly, she's not wrestling and hasn't been wrestling since she came back. Other than that, could this match have been any longer? The Headbangers win. Who gives a fuck? Sub-Zero.
Yeah, perfect spot for this match, the number 2 spot where it belongs. This was a dud when it started. It never increased for me. I don't like either of these teams at all. Dud.
But Canada loves the Kuggin, buddy.
Yeah.
What did Meltzer think of this trash?
he gave thoughts on the match, and then he also gave some other information that was supposed to happen and did not. So he gave it -1 star. That was his rating.
Okay, that's appropriate.
He says the crowd dies for the oddities after the ring entrance, and boy was Kurgan awful. Now, Dave also noted that this was originally supposed to be an 8-man tag match involving Tiger Ali Singh and Babu, but Babu got deported back to Ecuador for a combination of having to stand trial for crimes in that country and for not having a green card to be in this country.
Wow.
And he says, I swear I'm not making this up. So we'll see what happens with Babu. We may have seen the last of him.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. But Dave has been known to tell a fib or two in the past, so I don't know.
He has.
Okay.
Remember when he promised us that the ICP was gone before they were gone?
Yeah. And Hugo, the announcer, he came back like long after
but he wasn't
that crazy
lying
shit.
about his charge. He just came back from it.
He was cleared.
Cleared, yeah.
Settled.
The most shocking part of all of that is that Babu is Ecuadorian. Just to me
this
at
is
least.
Dave Meltzer. I didn't do any further research on that.
All right. Well, backstage again. This time we were with Dr. Tom Pritchard and Kevin Oh My God Kelly. Kevin Kelly is starting to get the 1,000-yard stare in his eyes. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but he's seen some shit at this point.
The only thing I noticed was Pritchard's hair looks horrible. It looks like an old lady stuck in the 80s type hairdo. Just so
like
bad.
a woman's gym teacher from the
like
80s.
An 80s perm, yeah.
He just needs a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
It's the wig from Mama's Family.
Yeah. Oh, it's so bad.
Poor Kevin Kelly, though. The only thing he could get is these fucking WWF chat room segments anymore.
He's just wasting away to nothing sitting there. You can see it. Well, they gave us some brief footage of Stone Cold inspecting the hole in the ground from earlier. And that was followed by the Stooges offering to take care of something for Vince McMahon. It sounded like they were going to gear up and take on Mankind again, but that fizzled out. Vince was going to take care of it himself. That quickly followed into our next match. Steve Blackman defeats Owen Hart by countout in 10 minutes and 28 seconds. This match was preceded by many video clips of the build-up to this match, the so-called feud with Owen and Steve and the Blue Blazer thrown in the mix. The only good part about all of it was the crowd pop for Owen Hart when he came out. This is Canada. Owen Hart is a very, very popular person there. That felt right. Felt good to have people cheering for him for once. But I did like that unique hold that Blackman put Owen in. And I can't help but think JR would have given us a name for that because Michael Cole sure as fuck didn't. And I also thought it was funny when Michael... Yeah, it certainly was. I thought it was funny when Michael Cole said that Owen Hart had perfected the sharpshooter. That sounded like a Vinceism, if ever there was one.
Say it.
And I also loved Jerry Lawler's line that Stu and Helen Hart have produced more tragedies than Shakespeare.
His lines about the Hart family are always top notch.
I will never get tired of them. I love them.
And they had, 90 kids, I think he said?
Yeah. The finish to this was the worst part about it. Owen just ended up walking out to get the count out. I'm not sure what that was about. But overall, guys, I ended up on 2 stars here. The action was actually pretty good. Owen actually looked and wrestled well. Blackman, for being Blackman, wasn't bad and just worked along with Owen. Even though this is a story we don't care about at all. Like, if we're just looking at this in a vacuum, outside of the Blue Blazer and all that other shit, as a standalone match, this was actually pretty decent. Joe, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, the story heading into this was just not good at all, and it's a shame because this match was actually pretty good until Owen just walked out, I thought. And I gave it 2 stars as well. Again, I hated the feud going into this match, and I hated the finish, but I liked Owen working babyface here in Canada. I thought the match was decent, and I also liked that there were no Blue Blazer shenanigans. So these guys just had a good match, but they decided to cut it short to continue, or what I'm guessing is to continue this story that we don't care about. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I'll start with the Blue Blazer because we hated the build-up because it revolved around the Blue Blazer. And this match worked for the most part because there was no, they maybe mentioned him, but absolutely no sighting of the Blue Blazer.
Right.
And the action between these two guys was very solid, I thought. They did bring up at the beginning that Owen Hart retired because of hurting Dan Severn's neck, but that just reminded me, what the fuck happened to Dan Severn? He just disappeared. And we haven't talked or seen him at all ever since he called out Owen in the neck brace. That was the last time we saw him.
We may have to shut down the podcast now.
Yeah, Bartlett, at least. He's going to quit.
Yeah.
Well, I'm fine because I see Dan Severn every day whenever I walk past my shrine.
I also agree with you guys. It was wonderful to see Owen get the response he should from the crowd. Even though there were a few nugget signs, there were one called him the danger nugget or something, or I don't know. There were some positive nugget signs working off of Nugget that were pretty decent, I thought. None of them made my favorite sign of the night, but I also pointed out Blackman's submission move. I thought that was pretty sweet. And Owen was definitely carrying the match. Blackman was keeping up, and I was going to give it 3 stars because I thought this was a very good match, entertaining. But then this ending, why? Why would you give a 10 count in Canada to Owen Hart? I understand you want to keep this story going, but there's other ways to do that with a much better ending. So it brought it down to 2 stars. It killed 1 whole star because of that shitty ending.
Yeah. Yeah, what'd Meltzer have to say about it?
Okay, he gave it 2.5 stars. He said, this match killed the show as the crowd really wanted to have fun booing the American, and the match was booked for Hart to play chicken shit heel to turn the crowd, and when they wouldn't turn, they just killed the whole show.
Oh.
I know that's a little incoherent, but that's exactly what he wrote, so.
What did they expect in Canada?
Right.
I don't know.
Go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to turn on Owen. They should know that.
Well, you think back to the famous Rock Hulk Hogan match, right?
Sure, yeah.
It didn't go the way they wanted, so they just went with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even go back a couple of years to the Hart Foundation. Whenever the WWF would be up in Canada, they didn't change their booking or storytelling just because they were in Canada. Of course, the Canadians cheered for the Hart Foundation, and they just fucking they stuck with their booking. Why change it up for anything?
I don't know.
All right. So after that, we got a video package for the 1999 Royal Rumble. I'm looking forward to that. We've got a lot of star power here now, and I think that the Royal Rumble can be pretty fun this coming year. And then we went back stage to Vince McMahon, who was back there searching for Mankind. He was calling out to Mick, and then he found a utility door leading into some kind of stairwell boiler room. It had a crayon sign taped to it that said Mankind's office. I loved that. Mankind said, "Come on in, Dad." And they started talking. That took us into our next match. The Brood, Christian, Edge, and Gangrel defeat the Job Squad, Al Snow, Bob Holly, and Scorpio by pinfall in 9 minutes and 8 seconds in a 6-man tag team match. Bob Holly finally shaved his fucking head.
By God.
Is there a celebration sound clip?
Yeah. He looks so much better, 100% better immediately, just cutting that fucking mullet.
Now next is Dr. Tom Pritchard needs to go visit Bob Holly's barber.
Where'd you think they got all the hair for the wig? It was from Bob. So the crowd was silent at the start of this, and that didn't really change. I really liked Michael Cole defending his interactions with Al Snow and Head. He said, well, it's interesting conversation. And I don't know why I really liked that. I thought that was pretty funny. Eventually, though, even Jerry Lawler started to run out of things to talk about. Despite some pretty decent ring work from everyone involved here, there was absolutely zero energy in this. If we shoved a thermometer up this match's ass, it would read absolute 0. And that was the last note I had. I thought this was a shitty dud because of that. And honestly, one of the most silent pay-per-view matches I have ever seen. Ryan, what'd you think of it?
The crowd didn't give two flying fucks about either one of these teams. And they did at the beginning bring up the JR's mother's death and said JR was a bit under the weather. So that's what they're calling it now. Unfortunately, we know better. They did bring up the mysterious red liquid and the gothic lifestyle. So take a shot.
Jeez.
Some of the action was okay, especially from the Job Squad, I thought. But a 3-on-3 match, it's handicapped out of the gate.
Yeah.
And I could have done without some of the bickering between King and Cole about the Blue Meanie and the Beatles, and Cole saying, well, I like the new stuff. He's just such a fucking pencil neck geek. that was, could have done without that bullshit. And it went kind of long and then just went to chaos. I didn't quite hate it as much as you. I didn't give it a dud, but 1 star was as much as I can go.
Yes, a bit of a nitpick thing here is that Edge's pants looked like a Monster Energy can. They were like blue and silver. Does not look very brooding to me. You'd think that he would have something like black or red or purple. I don't know. But yeah, he just looked like he didn't belong in the Brood with those pants on.
Backstage slugging monsters before they existed.
Yeah. Maybe this was the inspiration for Monster in their cans.
Someone was watching it. Yeah. Was like, hey.
Maybe Meltzer was right on that last match that they killed the crowd a little bit. They certainly did not pick up for this. This crowd was just dead silent. And we talked before, I don't know if it was I think it was a Raw episode, how Al Snow being out there and the head gimmick is getting crowds fired up, but it didn't happen during this match. Not even, I think there was a point where Al Snow was trying to Hulk up and the crowd just didn't give a shit at all. They were totally silent, just really disappointing. And some of the work was a little sloppy. Scorpio nearly broke Christian's orbital bone and his jaw. Maybe he did, I don't know, but I'm not sure how I feel about Christian's finisher. It's almost like a backwards pedigree type of a move. We'll see if he keeps using it. And Edge's dive is becoming very Taka-like to me. It's like, do we have to see that every single match? Maybe just do it every once in a while, like The Undertaker does, or like Mankind or someone like that.
Got to get that shit in.
He's getting the shit in, and I wish that he wouldn't, because it is a decent move. It's just not something we have to see every single match with Edge. So I didn't hate it that much, but the crowd certainly did. I gave it 1 star. I thought the wrestling was fine. It was a little sloppy, but this just had no substance to it at all for me.
What'd Meltzer think of it?
Meltzer gave it 1.25 stars. He said the most impressive was Christian, and he was the one who scored the pin, so there is some justice in wrestling if you look hard enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Dave, but whatever. Let's go back to the Boiler Room office. Vince and Mankind, they were still down there discussing things, but the situation had relaxed. Vince was sitting on the floor with Mankind, and it looked like they were close to coming to an agreement. And we quickly went into our next match. Goldust defeats Jeff Jarrett with Debra by disqualification in 8 minutes and 2 seconds in a striptease match. Here's where I had noted the big Tastykakes sign in the crowd, and I popped for it.
If there's one way to bring the crowd back, this is how you do it.
So, and this is where I started to notice a trend in the night. Just like the previous matches, there wasn't really a whole lot of noteworthy action or moments or high spots, whatever you want to call them, in this. And looking back in hindsight from this point, there really wasn't much in a lot of the previous matches either. The action was all fine, but just not very many notable high spots. And in this match, there's nothing really wrong with it. It was fine, but nothing jumping out. The crowd, the thirsty crowd, though, very desperate for some Tastykakes, and they were really getting into all of the 2 counts. So that energy is what was starting to revive this and revive the entire pay-per-view up to this point for me, if I'm being honest. Debra ended up cranking Goldust with the guitar. That got Jeff Jarrett the win at first. But then Commissioner Shawn Michaels came out in a really gross-looking suit. I don't know what that was made of, but it looked oily.
Yeah, it was like vinyl.
Yeah, well, I'm not a fashion guy. Do one of you guys know, like, is that a common thing for suits to look like that?
No, I don't know about common, but
what kind of fabric was that?
I don't know. It could have been
disgusting.
Like a silk type fabric to give it that shiny look.
Yeah, I don't know.
He looked like an oil slick off of Ahmed Johnson or something. Shawn pointed out the rules, and to the crowd's elation, declared Goldust the winner based on the whole guitar shot. And so Shawn was there to enforce the stripulation, that's my word, which got a take it off chant going in the crowd. And the striptease music started over the PA. I popped my ass off whenever that fucking swinging burlesque music got going. Debra changed her attitude real fast and got into it, so that was good to see. And then we got a shot of Jeff Jarrett in the back getting spiritually cucked. That was funny. Debra got down to her underpants and was looking amazing until the blue blazer came out and covered her with his cape, and that's where this ended. So this was never about the match itself, which, again, wasn't bad, and I liked the swerve that they gave us for the finish, the disqualification, the guitar, the weird way that we got to get Shawn Michaels out there to direct Debra to strip in the ring, and Shawn's little shenanigans, too. He pulled out a hundo and was, like, carrying it around in his mouth at one point.
Put it between her chest.
Yeah. Getting her to strip was just a class act on Shawn Michaels' part. I was going to, much like you earlier, Ryan, like I was going to give this 3 stars, but then the inclusion of the blue blazer dropped this down to a 2. You couldn't just leave well enough alone. 2 stars. Joe, what'd you think of the match?
Well, I really enjoyed the match because the fans are really into this because the stakes are so high because they want to see the Tastykakes. And the near falls in this match were hilarious. Just hearing the gasping in the crowd. Wanting Goldust to win this match. It was funny to see that. And a Heartbreak Kid commissioner coming out here. He's a commissioner of the people tonight. He's firm but fair. And big pop here when he announces Goldust.
This segment.
Yeah, definitely. And Debra I wonder how things were going in the back because she's probably the hottest female star now with these live crowds. We haven't seen much of Sable recently over the past several weeks. And Debra has been out there every week and the fans are definitely into it. And she looks great. Look, she got snagged up by the biggest star in wrestling. He wanted to marry her as soon as she came into the company here. So that says something too. And I just thought this was great. The Tastykakes were great and the crowd being into it. So there's no way I cannot give this 5 stars.
I'm in agreement with you guys here. The action in the ring was solid enough, and I also had to note the sound level from the crowd every time there was a near fall. It was hard to miss. You could see this crowd was really into this match. And the match itself was irrelevant. It's all about the ending. And the crowd-pleasing HBK comes out here, so I don't know, are they trying to make him more of a babyface now ever since the betrayal of DX, but they certainly loved him here as he told Debra she had to strip. And for the most part, we got what we wanted. It wasn't, I think we all knew we weren't going to see nipple, right?
The implication.
Not necessarily because the Jackie thing was like a week before this.
Yeah, but that
for
was
the
in
UK
another country.
pay-per-view.
I don't know. I wasn't expecting a nipple, I guess I should say.
I feel like I was promised full frontal.
I think so too.
The blue blazer coming out, that was really unacceptable.
Yeah.
Using that stupid cape that we already hate and now hate even more. But I am a red-blooded American, and I couldn't go any lower than a 3-star, even with the blue blazer coming out and ruining things. It was good to watch.
So Meltzer, did he feel betrayed also with this, or?
Well, he gave it 2.5 stars. And he said, I think the only way a match between these two could get over is to promise 17,000 males that they would see a beauty pageant winner naked at the end. But it was a good match.
Yeah. So naked. There you go. I mean, he was expecting it too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Word gets around. The nudity was hard to come by back then. It was like you either had to look at a Playboy or watch a nude scene in a movie.
Yeah. Wear out some VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Doing a rewind. Yep.
The old box of mags buried in the woods.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. We all know somebody that had some of those. I even found some in a ditch once. All right. Enough reminiscing about the good old days. Let's move forward to backstage. Vince McMahon, he was seen leaving Mankind's office with a big smile on his face. And that was followed by that stupid Attitude Cologne commercial. I really hope we get past that.
I hate that commercial so much. It's amazing that they were able to redeem themselves with the Super Bowl commercial like a month later. It just amazes me because I hate this commercial so much.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say about it other than it's pretentious in ways that the WWF should not try to be. The WWF is not pretentious.
They were at Oxford last week.
I just don't understand, why would you not get like Sable or one of your actual stars? One of your actual stars, not these two jabrones.
Somebody to pop some cleavage and say, if you smell like this, I'll want to fuck you.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're going to have Sable on the payroll, like, use her for something like that.
Or since it's a cologne and we're talking about smelling, how about The Rock?
Yes. Anyone. Anyone on the roster.
That would be funny. But I think yeah, tits would be the correct way to go.
Well, you can go with both.
Tastykakes. Watch your language.
You could have The Rock spray some on there and then have Debra walk up and him say something about, you smell what I'm cooking, or
dump them out all over him after that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Or one around each side of his head like Busty Hart. Busty Hart's Club. Turtle Point, Pennsylvania. All right. So after all of that, we went into our next match. The New Age Outlaws defeat the Corporation, this being the Big Boss Man and Ken Shamrock, by pinfall in 17 minutes and 4 seconds to retain the WWF Tag Team Championship. Yeah. Just to note, at the start of this, the rest of DX had been barred from ringside per Commissioner Shawn Michaels, so I thought that was fine. That was a good little stipulation. And then just like every match that preceded this, the action, it was fine. There was nothing to note. There was nothing to complain about, but there was nothing to highlight either. And it was just a milk toast, I think would be a good way of putting it. I loved Jerry Lawler saying that Canadians were so dumb that they thought O.J. Simpson was Bart's father. I also liked the Boss Man giving the finger and saying fuck you to somebody. I'm not sure who exactly that was, but we got a close-up of the Boss Man's face for that, and it was impossible to misread his lips on that one.
Yeah, someone got under his skin.
Yeah. We got a couple good close-ups of the Boss Man walking the Road Dogg through the match, talking him through it. And there was a lot made about the Road Dogg being in the ring and unable to tag in Billy Gunn. That made this match suffer quite a bit, if I'm being honest here. The Road Dogg is not good in long-form wrestling.
The weaker of the pair.
Right.
Both physically and wrestling.
And what made this especially annoying is that there were plenty of opportunities that the Road Dogg could have tagged Billy Gunn in. He just didn't take them. And so it seems like that was supposed to be the story of this match, or the way that this match was booked or something.
Well, maybe they're going to break up.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
So the whole thing ended up just really annoying me. And in the end, the Outlaws won. The crowd popped for it, but I had been so underwhelmed by the match that I didn't feel that same excitement. But the crowd excitement kept me at 1 star. It salvaged it from a dud. And I don't know what it is about these matches so far, but like none of them have been terrible, but none of them have conveyed pay-per-view energy either. And this is where my mind started getting a little circular on what was happening in this pay-per-view. Ryan, what'd you think of this?
Yeah, I'm right there with you for the most part. I will say the crowd, as you pointed out, they do love the Outlaws, and the Outlaws in their pre-match shtick this week, they did it with passion. They weren't phoning it in like we've been seeing the last few times. And the crowd loved that. And they also love chanting that Shamrock sucks. But this is not the tag team match that our tag team champions needed at a pay-per-view. Two corporate single guys, they're not even a real tag team. I did, like you, I liked the boss man fucking someone, saying fuck you to someone out there. That was cool. But other than that, it was fine. There wasn't anything terrible here. And the Outlaws win. Okay, who cares? The crowd did pop immediately, but then they died almost as quick as they got happy. Like, by the time people were getting out of the ring, you could hear a pin drop, it felt like, in there. Yeah. So I don't think the match certainly didn't get these fans riled up. They were happy to cheer for the Outlaws, but that was it. I didn't think it was a dud because things were solid enough, but 1 star. And I'm getting sick of saying that tonight.
Yeah, I had pretty low expectations going into this match because we've been doing this from 1995 to 1998, and one thing that's pretty common is there's just not very good tag team wrestling in the past 3-4 years. So I just had low expectations going into it. About halfway through it, I thought, this is not very good, and I'm starting to think about what's going to happen. I'm anticipating some shenanigans as a finish, especially since Shawn Michaels is out there, and they keep pointing out that Shawn Michaels is out there. I anticipate the corporation winning this to win all of the titles, all of the important ones, not Dwayne Gill's title.
What do you mean? It's one of the most important.
It's not. This match had flaws. It was Tim White gets pulled out of the ring. Just pulled out, not struck by anybody or beat up. And then he goes in and does a slow count. I don't understand what that was. And then the finish was terrible because Billy takes this cheap shot. I think it was Shawn Michaels grabbed his leg, right? So whoever he had up landed on his head. Billy immediately flips it and gets the pin. It made no sense at all.
No.
They could have done something more creative. I know Shawn Michaels can't really get physical right now, probably, so they're limited, but they could have done something better with this. So I also gave this 1 star. I think that it had enough star power behind it, but the creative around it was just shitty.
And I also think that 17 minutes and 4 seconds was a very tall order.
Bit long.
For these teams.
Yeah.
If this was like a true tag team match against some other great tag team, then sure, give us a 17-minute match, but not this.
This probably could have been a really good 5-minute match. What'd Meltzer think of it?
He brought up a pretty good point. He gave it 3/4 of a star, and he said, these guys were in a bad position. How do you get a crowd interested after seeing a woman strip? Well, whatever it is, these guys did not have the answer. This was a long, boring match with only Ken Shamrock looking good.
And that's funny because I have 0 notes about Shamrock.
Yeah.
He faded into it for me.
Which maybe is a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Duck and cover. All right. So did you guys know that apparently if you mailed in a copy of your cable bill, you could have gotten a free WWF Attitude bandana?
God. Send in all of your utility bills.
Yeah. Right.
Mother's maiden
social
name.
Security number. Data harvesting for decades now.
Well, especially because back then a utility bill was, I think maybe even still, was something you need to open up a bank account for someone. Right?
Yeah. It's a legal proof of residency. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to take out a loan, you need all of that, all those utility bills. Send them all in.
So, and the bandana didn't even look all that good. It's very. Don't get me wrong, though. It's cool that they're giving away something for free.
But
I'm just imagining a bunch of 9-year-olds stealing their parents' fucking utility bills and mailing them in to try to get this damn bandana to wear to middle school the next day.
Who took out a loan for?
What's Titan Enterprises? Commentary then presented us with a, quote, special treat, end quote, a review of how The Rock came to be the champion. Yes, folks, we got a clip show in the middle of a pay-per-view, and then we went to Vince talking The Rock into playing along with whatever Mankind was suggesting. He wanted witnesses to some kind of contract edit, which took us into our next match. Mankind defeats The Rock by knockout in 13 minutes and 32 seconds in a WWF Championship match, with The Rock retaining the championship as a result. Now, that's how my research had this listed, and that will become clear here in a minute, but I just thought it was very strange that that's how this was recorded, the victory here. So apparently Mankind wanted Vince to admit that he had never heard Mankind say, "I quit," back at Survivor Series. You remember all of that, everybody? That's not too long ago, last month's pay-per-view now. And if Vince did that, Mankind would line out the clause in the contract saying that Mankind becomes champion by default if The Rock can't wrestle. Despite the fact that The Rock was there in his gear, holding the belt, came down to the ring with his entrance music. He was obviously there to wrestle, so I don't know why any of this matters, why we had to do this, because correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I don't remember hearing anything about some kind of contract or whatever before this pay-per-view.
No, I think it was from Heat. They explained that at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The mysterious piece of paper that Mankind was seen carrying around.
Right.
My bad. Well, Michael Cole called that incident at Survivor Series the biggest betrayal of all time, showing us that he obviously wasn't in the WWF back when Tatanka turned on Lex Luger in what was and still is the greatest heel turn in wrestling history.
Certainly.
Actually, to make things worse, Michael Cole said that was the biggest double cross in WWF history.
Well, during a couple promos that got cut on each other here, Mick dropped the line, testicular fortitude. That was great to hear. I think that's the first time we've heard that.
Yeah.
And things escalated to the point of Mankind demanding Vince get on his knees before Vince eventually got on the microphone. Vince would not admit that he never heard it. He insisted that The Rock heard it, and that was good enough for Vince. Mankind then tore up the contract that we didn't need at all, and the match got going. And I had been waiting for this match. I was excited for this. Mankind and The Rock. We've had tons of good matches from them before. And just when things were starting to get going, Vince got back on the microphone to interrupt the match, yelling at referee Mike Chioda to disqualify Mankind for any disqualifying reason, which should go without saying. But whatever. I did really like it when The Rock ripped the headset off of Michael Cole and did his own commentary as he was beating on Mankind at the announce table. That was great. I loved that. That was The Rock getting the spotlight to himself there for a minute, exactly what he needs and what he can take advantage of. Things really devolved when Vince tried to make a disqualification call. Mankind attacked the referee, he attacked the timekeeper to keep him from ringing the bell. And that was just the start of the shenanigans here. Shane hit The Rock with the belt accidentally. Referee Tim White had to come in to cover the match. We got a few false finishes in a row that really got the crowd fired up. But then there was a confusing moment, finally, with Mankind and Socko in the mandible claw. The Rock didn't submit, and Vince used that to say that The Rock retains the title. Mankind lost his shit. He attacked Vince and Shane and the officials that ran out, eventually getting beaten down by the Boss Man and Shamrock, and things wound down with the perpetually screwed Mankind limping out of the arena. So I'm probably going to be an 18%er on this one, but this felt like the end of a really great episode of Raw. And like every other match, I didn't dislike this at all, but with the storytelling, the interruptions, the fact that this is a championship match that isn't at the top of a card, it just felt like something was missing. This was incomplete in some way, shape, or form. So I went with 3 stars because, much like the rest of this pay-per-view up to this point, it felt like it was about storytelling within conservative wrestling rather than premium wrestling built up by weekly storytelling. And I don't know if that makes sense, but there it is. Joe, what'd you think of this?
I don't disagree with you. I completely agree with you in a different way. there's a couple things going on here. There was the whole promo from Mankind to start things off, which, as you said, he mentioned testicular fortitude for the first time. I think the promo part of it was pretty good because it just helped put Mankind over a little bit more. You mentioned that this is almost like storytelling on Raw, and it's interesting you say that, because what I thought of here was this match just had a weird feeling to it, to me, with Vince there. And I got to thinking, okay, we know what's going to happen next month, and they probably know that too. This felt like another one of those fucking tests to see how the crowd would react to Mankind winning the title. They did it with Luger. And who else did they do it with? I feel like I brought this up before with someone else. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was someone other than Luger, but I can't remember.
And I feel like they're doing it again here with Vince being out there, and just the way that this finish happened. It almost looked like, okay, let's see what kind of reaction we get.
They were doing it with The Rock, Shamrock, and Mankind a few months ago.
Yes. Yeah, for the Rock that time.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah. So,
but they also test drove Shamrock a little bit there too.
Yeah.
And people started chanting, "He sucks." So he fell down the card.
Yeah. So I feel like that's what this was. And unfortunately, that just took over for me. Like I couldn't just enjoy this match. I think the one thing that made me cringe was Mankind. He did like a backflip off of the ropes and landed on the fucking concrete floor. 300
That was pretty
plus.
fucking great.
Oh my God, it was so brutal though. Just seeing his body
certainly
just
brutal.
splat on the floor like that.
But man, that was impressive, I thought.
That was impressive. You guys both know I don't ever want to see anyone win a title by shoving a sock in someone's mouth. I just don't want to see that ever. Thankfully, that was a fake win here. So, yeah, I couldn't get past the fact that they were testing this out, and it pissed me off. So I just gave it 2 stars.
So for me, the beginning part was okay. I obviously love hearing testicular fortitude out of Mankind for the first time. That's fantastic. But I'm with you, Bartlett, that it just didn't make sense because The Rock was clearly going to wrestle. So that kind of threw it for a loop. The actual wrestling, though, I thought the wrestling match was very entertaining. The Rock and Mankind, they know how to work with each other. That spot, Joe, that you just talked about really stuck out to me. I know that had to hurt, but goddamn did it look good on camera. The thing that kept on coming back to me, and you guys talked about it being a glorified Raw match, is so we're going to go all the way back to the beginning of the pay-per-view when you had The Rock come into Planet Hollywood and cut his promo, and then we get the banners of The Rock and Vince McMahon and Shane telling The Rock how this is his pay-per-view, and then it's not the main event.
Yeah.
Like, literally, the pay-per-view is named after your champ, and he's not in the main event.
Yeah.
How the fuck, who thought of that? Who the fuck's idea was it to, if you're going to do this, don't name the pay-per-view after your champ. Like, just call it something else.
Call it Buried Alive 2.
Right. Call it Buried Alive if that's your fucking main event. So that just, it fucking drug on me the whole show, knowing that wasn't going to be the main event. The wrestling, though, I thought, as I said, perfectly fine. No problem with that. I actually really loved after McMahon screwed Mankind, Shane hitting him in the back with a chair and it not phasing Mankind, and then he hits him again and doesn't phase him again, and then he just goes after Shane. I thought that was cool. The ending is shitty, as you said, Joe. They're clearly just testing the waters here, but it does build up Mankind as a bigger baby face as they keep on screwing him every week. But as much as I love Mankind, as much as I enjoyed the actual ring work, 3-star was as high as I can go because there were just a lot of things going against this match.
Yeah. What did Meltzer think of it?
He gave it 3 3/4 stars. So he enjoyed the match. He said the work itself was real good, but he said there were parts of the match that were stupid, such as them dropping the entire ribs storyline, which I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I guess I agree with Meltzer on this one.
Yeah. Not a lot of that made sense in the end.
Yeah.
But, well, let's get away from it. Next, we went through a video package highlighting the entirety of the feud between The Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin up to this point. We got reminded within that Austin's presence in the Royal Rumble is dependent on Austin winning this Buried Alive match. That was something that is also just getting thrown in here now, I think, right?
Yeah. Well, also in this video, the fact that this seems like the first time they reminded us why The Undertaker was angry at Stone Cold. That was something we've talked about many times, like why does he want to kill Stone Cold? And they finally do say, oh, because Stone Cold didn't count the 3 count against Kane. But this seems like it's the first time they reminded us of that.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of repetition in this, which is to be expected, of course, and I really liked seeing the video evidence of multiple attempted murders because of some kind of petty revenge. So that took us into our final match of the night. Stone Cold Steve Austin defeats The Undertaker with Paul Bearer in a Buried Alive match in 21 minutes and 30 seconds. I thought it was funny that they had made multiple references to the weight of the tombstone at the gravesite. In excess of 3,000 pounds. Yeah, I sat back watching this, and much like the rest of the night, I mostly enjoyed the action in the ring. Nothing to note, nothing to criticize, I should say, until Austin and The Undertaker made it to the gravesite and were fighting in and out of it. Michael Cole kept insisting that the grave is 6 feet deep, but it was also somehow only up to The Undertaker's waist, and that really took me out of it.
I like how he did stop talking about how it's 6 foot deep, though, once it was clear that it was up to The Undertaker's waist, unless The Undertaker's 12 foot tall.
Yeah. Well, no, he did keep talking about it. He just had the good grace to wait until people weren't standing in it. And you could tell, again, that was Vince insisting, emphasize, 6 feet,
3,000 pounds
feet wide. I made it to the point where Austin was knocked into the grave and laid there while getting covered up with dirt. And I couldn't remember previous Buried Alive matches, but I thought that was enough to get Taker the victory. It wasn't. I'm not sure why there was an empty gas can there, but it was nice to hear the bong sound when Austin hit The Undertaker with it. I did really like the stunner at the gravesite, with The Undertaker selling the stunner over into the grave. Like, that was pretty cool to see. But I did not like Austin not winning when he literally dumped an entire wheelbarrow full of dirt onto The Undertaker. That felt like that really should have been a win. But then it also made me think less of The Undertaker for not using it before when he had Austin down in the 12-foot deep hole with its 9-ton fucking headstone above it.
Well, it wouldn't have won him the match anyway.
But then, just out of nowhere, Austin ran out after Paul Bearer, which made no sense to me at all in the moment. The Undertaker got out of the grave and took cover, which didn't make any sense, until there was a loud explosion sound and Kane dragged himself up out of the bottomless pit of hell that he had apparently been trapped in this 90-foot deep hole, 6 feet wide. And that's where I gave up trying to take this seriously. The Undertaker and Kane started fighting. They kept stumbling around in the dirt because it's hard to keep your footing in a bunch of loose dirt, so why not try to fight in it too? But then we heard the sound of a backhoe as Kane hit Taker with a tombstone. Austin rode in the backhoe with somebody else apparently driving, a cable puller by the looks of things.
Who clearly didn't know how to operate a backhoe.
It took forever for the operator to get into position. It had dirt in its bucket already, and Austin was yelling at whatever fucking idiot they had driving it. Austin took a break to go yell at Earl Hebner real quick, and they kept going with it. The jerky backhoe operator literally beat the finish of this match to death with his jerky use of the hydraulics on this fucking backhoe.
And inability to put dirt into the fucking hole.
I'm not saying that I am a qualified heavy machinery operator, but I know how to push a fucking lever to make a bucket move. That's all it takes. Apparently, Earl Hebner was prohibited from calling the victory for Austin until Austin cracked a beer. I have no idea where Kane ended up. He disappeared. And the final insult was Earl Hebner getting another beer as we faded to black. So I'm not sure if you could tell by my notes, but I fucking hated this. This was one of the stupidest gimmick match finishes I have ever seen. I gave it a dud, and I really, really hope that this is the end of the Undertaker and Austin feud. I feel like I could, really go on at length about how fucking disappointed I was with this match in the end, but I won't. So, Ryan, as our resident asshole for the Undertaker, what did you think of our final match of the night?
Well, I'm not going to be too big of an asshole for the Undertaker tonight. The other Buried Alive matches that we've seen haven't been great. The matches we've seen between The Undertaker and Stone Cold haven't been great, which is shocking. Two of the biggest and best to ever do it. They just can't seem to make it really click when they're together.
Oh, man. I just had a thought. Undertaker and Austin's matches have not been great. Undertaker and Shawn Michaels' matches have not been great.
You.
Oh, God.
I feel like the common denominator is maybe the Undertaker.
No, that's just you. No one else agrees. No one else agrees with you and Shawn Michaels. But there was nothing really glaringly bad between the ring work. It was solid. There was no botches, but there was nothing special either. As the headlining pay-per-view match with no title, I'm going to highlight that again. But when they started with the whole part of the gimmick, right? The whole clutch of this gimmick match using this pit, it just fell apart. From the Michael Cole 6 foot deep at the Undertaker's waist to fucking Kane coming out and them stumbling around, and then the backhoe just buried this fucking match. It didn't bury The Undertaker, but my God, 5 minutes of this dumb fuck fumbling around with the controls, not being able to get up the hill enough, not being able to extend the bucket enough, just fucking garbage.
First day on the job.
Yeah, must have been first day on the fucking job. Then, as you said, the ending was Stone Cold cracking a beer. That, I guess, is when there's been enough dirt put on the fucking grave. I didn't go with a dud. I guess maybe that's my only hint of being an asshole for The Undertaker, but good God, it couldn't squeak out anything more than 1 star.
Yeah. Bartlett, you said what moment it took you out of the match? I think it was when Kane arrived, pretty much, or?
No, well, so it was, what really got me was the first time I noticed Michael Cole saying 6 foot deep and it being waist high on The Undertaker. Yeah. But it was a very quick downhill slide from there.
The reason I ask that is because I think I was out of this just as soon as it started. Because thinking on it now, the idea of burying someone in dirt inside an arena is just so fucking stupid. I can't, for some reason, nobody really cared back then, but I can't explain this to someone who's not a wrestling fan. If anyone was watching this with me that's not a wrestling fan, I would not blame them for thinking I'm a fucking idiot for liking wrestling, because it's just a stupid fucking concept.
No, they brought in a bunch of dirt.
You
and
see
made
what they
a
do
hole.
is they bury him in the dirt, and that's how they lose. Like,
there's a gravestone there and everything.
It's so stupid. And what's funny too is this time around, I don't know if I noticed this during the other Buried Alive with Mankind, but you can clearly see where the trapdoor platform comes out when they pan into the grave, and they have the camera inside the grave. Like, it just looks like a Halloween store bullshit setup.
I was going to say it looked like a high school play set.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Michael Cole, I have to bury Michael Cole because he was just so bad.
By all means.
This whole show. He was just so bad. And you guys pointed out a lot of it, but I heard you guys pronounce the word of the heavy equipment that was used as backhoe, which is how I also pronounce it. Michael Cole kept saying backhoe. He's got the backhoe. The backhoe is out.
Well, that was like earlier with the oddities when that was my beginning when he said he said Cartman multiple times as Cartman.
I am convinced that he is a clone of Vince McMahon, just in a different body. Because
a robot.
Yeah, because Vince would always pronounce shit weird too.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing here, and it was annoying as fuck. And getting heavy equipment involved is usually an idea that works for WWF, but maybe this is a good example of just overdoing it. Like, maybe you shouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been better if they just let Austin operate the backhoe.
Probably.
When this guy is doing it, you can clearly hear Austin just going, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's just
fucking idiot.
Yeah, it just made it look even worse. So between the botch job on the fucking backhoe, Michael Cole just overdoing it on commentary, and Earl Hebner celebrating with a beer, I am giving this nothing but a dud. I would give this negative 5 stars if we did that. I hated this.
Yep.
It was bad.
Yeah. And you could tell so many of their all of their problems really came down to the fact that the guy didn't know how to drive the fucking thing. But they didn't lay the area out correctly at all. Like the slope of the dirt, it wasn't helping that the bucket had to stretch so far to get up to the hole to dump it. And it was terrible. It was so not thought out at all. They did not think this through.
And I think they learned from it, because if I remember a future Buried Alive match, there's not a backhoe, but a front loader that's able, and it just dumps like a whole bucket worth of dirt into the hole, and that's the win.
Yeah.
So they learned from this terrible, terrible mistake.
Yeah.
What'd Meltzer think of this piece of shit?
So one thing that I don't know if you guys remember, but he's been pointing out that the Undertaker looks like he's been like hobbling, like nursing an injury. So I assume they were using this to give him a break. And anyway, Meltzer gave this 3/4 of a star. He said, this was one of those deals where anything that could go wrong did. The Undertaker is already limited as he's been working for months without rest on a broken ankle. Austin was suffering from an intestinal virus and had barely eaten the previous week to make things worse early in this match.
I remember hearing about that. I didn't remember it was this match, though. Yeah.
He also said that Austin took a bump on the uneven dirt mound on his shoulder, which tore his oblique or abdominal muscle on the right side.
Ooh. So
I don't know if that's true or not, but possible injury on a stupid fucking dirt mound in an arena. And that's all he had on that one.
Well, there was a point where I was a little concerned. Obviously, we know it didn't happen, but I was a little concerned that dude was gonna release the bucket, because there's little hydraulic controls on in the cake that if you hit the wrong thing, it drops the bucket off the arm of it. I thought that was gonna
Well, I would assume that Undertaker would have been through the trap door at that point anyway.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Here's hoping. Yeah. Really, let's get out of this pay-per-view and let's talk about the most important factor of all. At a premium price of $29.95, did you get your money's worth? And we're going to throw our favorite signs in here too. Joe, what'd you have?
Well, I did not get my money's worth. I did not get to see any Tastykakes. This main event was just so bad. I'm just so disappointed. The only redeeming thing from this maybe is that The Undertaker has been starting his ministry run. But outside of that, this main event just killed it for me. So I'm going to say no. And this was probably, $30, which is equal to $75-$80 nowadays.
Yeah.
So no, absolutely not.
Even more in Canadian.
My favorite sign, speaking of Canadian, my favorite sign was a sign that said, Bury is the blue blazer. And for anyone that's a hockey fan, Pavel Bury played for the Vancouver Canucks, also known as the Russian Rocket. And I remember playing the NHL games on PlayStation back then, and Bure had like 99 speed on those games. So he was the Blue Blazer.
For me, this is a rare no. I did not get my money's worth. There was a whole heaping pile of garbage in this pay-per-view, so that is a shame. My favorite sign of the night was simply, I came to see titties. As we said last week. As we said last week, what better way to sell a pay-per-view than the promise of titties? And that guy was highlighting it.
We were promised.
Yeah. So, no, I did not get my money's worth for all of the reasons that you guys have listed here.
Yeah.
It felt like an episode of Raw. So that's the real kick in the balls here, is that the undercard matches were the better matches, but even they felt like an episode of Raw. The top of the card were some of the worst matches, and especially the final match. Oh, just complete bullshit from top to bottom, that fucking thing. So no, I did not get my money's worth. And we're going to do the double here. I also came to see some titty.
Nice.
as my favorite sign. Joe, do you have any kind of numbers for us, please?
I do, and they're not good. The numbers are not good. We have 1.2% thumbs up on this show from Wrestling Observer readers. Have we had one that bad? Maybe. Wow. I can't remember the last time. 1%? Yeah, 1.2%. 92.8% thumbs down.
Yep.
And 6% in the middle. So this was just real bad. Best match was voted Mankind versus The Rock. That received 100% of the votes.
Wow.
Worst match was the Oddities versus the Headbangers.
If you're not going to throw that out like we do, that's certainly the worst match.
Well, yeah. And it was the number 2 match, right? I think it was.
Right. Yeah. The shit stance. Yeah.
Meltzer says, pretty bad show for a number of reasons. The finishes were too cute, for the most part, leaving the crowd dead. Again, he's going on with these 4-hour shows because of Sunday Night Heat. 4 hours continues to be hard to keep a crowd's enthusiasm, and the Undertaker versus Steve Austin match, which was by far the worst pay-per-view the two have had up to this point, was in spots totally devoid of heat and had a messed up finish, not entirely due to each wrestler's respective health problems going in. The only good match, the Rock vs. Mankind title match, was incredibly devoid of the pre-show, storyline psychology, and its working, and while both worked hard and got good pops, the finish was so beyond awful that it pretty well killed the main event that followed. There isn't much good to say about the show other than the WWF is in the position where it can afford a lot of bad pay-per-view shows without being hurt at all.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good description of the show, I would say.
Yeah, indeed.
This is one of those tweener pay-per-views, but my God, you're charging people $30. Like, try to do something good.
It sounds like what Meltzer is saying there, that we're finally to the point where the WWF has fuck you money and ratings.
Yeah, basically.
You don't like it? Well, fuck you.
Yeah.
Pay me anyway. Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't the only one, because I really thought that I was just being a nitpicking dickbag.
No, you were a 92.8%er today, which is pretty rare.
Right.
So enjoy it while it lasts.
Surprised you didn't love it.
That's probably about as high as you're ever going to get. So congratulations.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I only wish it was a different occasion that brought us all together like this, but we'll take what we can get. All right. Well, thank you for that, Joe. Thank you for the numbers, illuminating as always. And that's it, folks. We are done with this herd. I want to thank you again for joining us. If you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can email us at WRASSLINRAW, just at gmail.com to the end of that to submit questions or comments. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and on every podcast subscription platform. While you're there, don't forget to follow and subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you with every release. Give us a 5-star review and tell all of your friends to tune in to the most ghastly Monday Night Raw review podcast on the airwaves. Next time on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to take a look at the Raw that aired on December 14th, 1998, with matches featuring the Blue Blazer, Kane, and many more. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.